So,
I'm not even trying to be like, I'm dead serious. I'm not trying to be dramatic here. I've never been so perplexed by a movie before because I've never had like a full opinion. I don't know, man.
I was going to say, you are normally very sure when you walk out of the theater.
I'm usually pretty sure.
Normally I can tell.
It's rare when I backtrack.
Out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The only time I've really backtracked, but I backtracked again on it, was Age of Ultron. Like, I walked, I was like, it's good. And then I was like, I don't really like that movie. But then I was like, you know what? It's really not that bad.
end up really like. Yeah, I really like that movie. I think it's better than people give it credit for.
I said this earlier. I said Star Wars fans are trained to love or hate each movie that comes out. And they train themselves to do that.
Yeah.
This is on them because of all the opinions that are thrown out. So they do it to themselves. Mm-hmm. So I think everybody has this reaction like, I'm going to love it, or it's either I'm going to hate it.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. It's not necessarily
okay
to be just all right, but
it's
I mean,
it happens.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you're not going to love something, and sometimes you're not going to hate something. Sometimes it's just
okay.
It's just, it's all right.
At the end of the day, I think it was just fine.
Yes, I agree.
And there's not much more I honestly have to really say about it, other than that is not spoilery.
I'll go ahead and give a little of my non-spoiler thoughts as well. So, I already talked about this with you. I do think it's the most Star Wars movie I've ever seen. It's the most
It must be the most blockbuster I think I've ever seen.
It's very fine.
Oh.
And it's not, we talked about there is some good, there is some bad, but for me, I don't think that either outweighs the other. I think it's just very, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right.
And I think that the problem is The Last Jedi really didn't set up much of anything to go off of, other than like they're fucked. That was like it. Mm-hmm. And then it feels like the movie doesn't take off from there and just wants to add on more of like setting up to an even more worse position.
Yeah, it's and we talked about this as well. There's not very much finality to this film for me. There's not very much like this should be the movie where your last two movies, and they've even said what everything is leading up to. I think they've made that clear is what the Star Wars saga has led up to is this movie. And for me, there's no scene in this movie and there's no part of this movie where I felt this is the scene that wraps it all together.
Yeah.
There's no scene of finality. There's no scene of this is what the last two films have been building to, because to me it felt like the last two films they don't know what they were building to. I don't think that the directors knew what they wanted to do with this movie, and I do think that it shows because of the lack of finality.
It didn't feel like a J.J. Abrams movie.
No.
Not at all.
No.
It honestly felt like a Colin Trevorrow would have been.
What's very funny is, because I thought this as well, J.J. Abrams, when he directs movies, is very good at giving them a sense of adventure and a sense of, I won't say awe necessarily, but he's a fun filmmaker in my opinion. I think that he's very good at making like adventurous movies. Exciting, yes. And this is his, I don't know his whole catalog, so I won't say that it's his most all-right movie, but it's the most unadventurous J.J. Abrams movie I've seen, I would say.
It honestly feels like Disney was like, look, man, we need you back. Because The Force Awakens worked with most people for the most part, other than saying it was a copy. And I feel like he didn't even want to probably do it.
No. I don't feel, there wasn't, you cannot tell the film never feels very, The Force Awakens, you can say whatever you want. I love it. I think it's great.
It's a blast.
It is a carbon copy, but
yeah.
It's fun, and it's a blast, and it's an adventure, and I think that that's what this is missing.
If you had shown me The Force Awakens and this one, and I didn't know who the directors were, and you were to tell me that they came from the same person, I would have been like, no way.
No.
Are you kidding me?
There's very little vision to this movie, and I think that you feel that.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then I'm pretty shocked, because there never felt like this is what JJ wanted to do the whole time, or this is what Disney, or this is what Johnson, or what anybody wanted to do the whole time. It just kind of felt like, well, we made The Force Awakens, and everybody likes it, but they kind of said it was a copy, so now what are we going to do?
They probably wrote him a blank check and said, do whatever feels right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, You want to get into spoilers?
We can do some spoilers.
Overall, I guess I would say the direction felt a little poor from J.J. Abrams. This is probably his worst directed film. I think, easily, because he's directed Super 8, Force Awakens, Star Trek movies. I think this is his worst.
But there's so much adventure to those, and I just didn't feel it.
I don't think it was as messy and clumsy or dry and boring as most people have said. I didn't really feel... I wasn't bored. It was just watchable. Like,
it's very watchable.
It was very just like, okay, all right, yeah.
I would go as far as to say any review that you've seen, it's not as bad as they say, and it's not as good as they say. It's very much in the middle. It's very, very, very just average.
There's some good-looking shots. I'm struggling to remember one thing that kind of stood out to me, like cinematography-wise.
Not so much.
I still think The Last Jedi is probably the best looking of the new ones.
I would agree. That's more smooth. This is not as smooth. It's kind of choppy. That one
felt epic. Yeah. Honestly, The Last Jedi felt more epic than this movie. But yeah, I don't know. I guess spoilers is what I want to talk about.
Yeah, okay, we'll talk about some spoilers. So.
I want to talk straight from the beginning.
Okay.
The opening crawl. I was waiting for Palpatine. Obviously, Snoke was meant... Everything you see from the Emperor in this movie, I couldn't help myself. I just Snoke. This was supposed to be Snoke.
Yeah,
the whole
I agree.
time. I just couldn't get that out of my head. And I don't know whether that's just my fault or, the movie's fault. Maybe not this one in particular, but this goes... But it goes back to the unplanned thing. It just goes to show, I can't help... Me as an audience member, I can't enjoy this movie because you guys didn't allow yourselves to make a good one.
Exactly.
Or a good setup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The whole time I was like, this was supposed to be Snoke. And in the opening crawl, they're like, Palpatine's back.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's it? He's just back?
He's just,
He's like, the very first is the dead speaks or the dead lives, or I think it's the dead speaks.
It's the dead speaks.
And I was like,
I guess
Palpatine's back.
Okay.
And I was like, I was waiting for the movie to not tell me explicitly right on the screen he's back. I was waiting for a reason for him to be back that worked.
Something.
And I know I kind of feel bad for J.J. Abrams in the sense that he was like, well, I kind of wanted Snoke. I envisioned the Snoke being in the movies later, but to be fair, it's also on him falling on his own sword for not setting up a game plan for the whole movies.
Yeah.
So that was okay, we'll just bring back Palpatine.
And I think because they brought back Palpatine, there's no real... Yeah, I didn't feel the power of the Empire.
They don't explain
movie.
Anything.
No.
Because
where
you can't... Where did she get that lightsaber?
I have no idea.
It was destroyed at the end of The Last Jedi.
I have no idea.
Blown in half. It's just back.
I don't know. There's a lot of things that just kind of happen. It's just kind of all right, well, we're going to do this. There you go. I do agree with you, though. I think it was supposed to be Snoke, and I think because it wasn't, Abrams is kind of... And like you said, it's his fault and it's not his fault. It's his fault because did you have a game plan? Did you not have a game plan? I don't know if we'll ever really know.
I don't think he ever expected to come back. And that's why it's almost I feel bad for him because he's like, well, now that they probably begged for him to come back, he's like, well, I don't know what to do.
I got to do something.
I gotta
do something.
back, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I guess my boy Snoke's not here.
Yeah, I know. So
they do some weird shit, but it's nothing too far-fetched. What was the point of the cloning of Snokes? There was no other Snoke that came back.
Yeah, so they killed him the one time. So why? There's no reason to clone him if he's dead.
They honestly didn't even need Palpatine. They could just clone.
They could have just cloned Snoke. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I mean, because they had the clone army, so it's cloning isn't anything unfamiliar to the saga. No. Just have another Snoke, I guess. Fuck it, why not? I'd rather have that. I'd rather that be their shitty excuse that Snoke is back, rather than have no excuse for Palpatine to be back.
That Palpatine's
you see what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
At least because it doesn't necessarily... I guess it makes more sense than them just saying, all right, Palpatine's back.
Yeah, that's how it felt.
Yeah.
This hurts to say. I really don't like what they did with Rey in this movie. I just have a bad feeling here in my chestal section, and that I don't like what they did with Rey. And I would think of it like
if you haven't seen it, Rey's a Palpatine.
Okay. You want to go there first?
We can go there first. Or do you want to go?
Well, we're still on the subject of Palpatine.
Okay. We'll do that.
It could be our segue.
Through, yep. Okay.
Okay. She's a Palpatine for God knows what reason, other than the fact that I guess all along she was supposed to be related to Snoke. I guess that's what the original plan would have been.
Yeah, but if Snoke's
as soon as I know that theory was going around, but I was like, no.
Yeah,
I don't think. Mm-hmm. As soon as the the lasers and zapping came out of her fingers. Chewbacca thing. I was like, wow, oh no, that's something Palpatine.
Because that's a Sith thing, yeah. So I thought that as well.
It didn't feel like I didn't feel the weight of that. And I think it's just because, once again, it was in the back of my head like, this, they're just retconning.
Well, I don't think she was supposed to be.
No.
I think that they were just like, well, she's Palpatine.
Yeah.
Because Palpatine's back, and she has to have some motive to go after him, and there has to be, like, they tried to, the best way I can put it is, since they decided to just bring Palpatine back, they tried to give Rey, like, a connection to him, because if they don't, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason that we give a shit about either of them if there's no connection.
Yeah.
So the best thing that I don't necessarily like the choice
point.
either, but the best way I can describe it is, like, if they're having this epic battle and they're not, like, it doesn't matter, it's just like good versus bad, then who cares?
They're trying to justify him being in it more.
They're trying to, like, have them have a connection.
Yeah.
Which didn't work necessarily for me,
No.
but I understand, like, I mean I understand why, I just don't like why.
Yeah.
I feel like this whole movie was not what it was supposed to be.
And
that's
touching
the best
back
way
up
to put
on,
it.
okay, so Rey, I don't like that she was a Palpatine. Because in the end, like, she's never met Palpatine. She's just heard of Palpatine.
Yeah, it's just like what.
In The Last Jedi, she's heard of Luke, like, oh, he's a legend. But then they had time to get to know each other, you know what I mean? They had time to, the relationship
They
built.
formed a bond.
And they don't have to be, like, I'm not saying Palpatine and Rey had to be friends for there to be an emotional way. It's almost the sense of, like, it's almost a parallel between Luke and Vader. Like, they had a relationship
Same
there,
thing.
even before he even knew that
Who he
that was
was,
his
who he
father.
was,
yeah,
yeah.
because there was reason, there was motivation there to hate him. He killed Obi-Wan. He's like the worst person in the galaxy.
And even when you do go back and watch, like, A New Hope, which I did watch last night, there are hints and there's little, like, which you won't notice until you ultimately discover that Darth Vader is his father. But they give you little hints. They create a little bit of a bond there. There's no seeds that have been planted. There's no, if this is this movie and over here is The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, there's nothing over here, no seeds that were planted that justify anything that happens in this movie.
And that's a good point that can come to my Rey point. It never felt A to Z.
No.
Rey never started at A, she was just at Z the whole time. The whole time.
Yep.
And I never really thought, I get it, they called her like a Mary Sue and stuff, but I was waiting for a reason for it to feel like, oh, she is this all-powerful thing, and I guess it's because she's related to Palpatine, I guess. I honestly would have liked it more if, I don't know, actually I don't know what would have been worse, if she was really just this nobody and then she was just all-powerful, or if she was related to Palpatine and she was this all-powerful. I guess it would make more sense if it was Palpatine, so I'll give it that.
Well, and I don't
But look at Finn. Finn starts at A and he ends up at Z. You know what I mean? Like, he's a follower unwillingly to the First Order, and then he becomes a leader willingly to the Resistance. So I liked that the most. There never felt like an A to Z for Rey this whole time, and that was disappointing to me because I wanted more of a reason to feel. Her character's charming. She's a fun character to watch. She goes on the adventures and blah blah blah. I like watching her. She's a great. I think this is really the performance from Days of Ridley that makes that character so likable.
Yeah, she is. She's great. She is.
Poe becomes like Poe's character arc kind of can be similar to Han Solo in the sense
he's like a Han.
He's the closest maybe to Han, because Han becomes from like this careless to just given purpose and fighting for the Resistance. Poe kind of goes from not taking orders to becoming a leader and giving orders, I guess.
There isn't much arc.
There's not much arc for Rey. And that was disappointing because I understand now what Jeremy Johns was talking about with the OP.
Oh yeah,
I don't like that healing shit at all.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
And let me tell you this. This movie does 3 fake out deaths. 3?
Yeah.
Rey?
Yeah.
Chewie?
Yeah.
Kylo?
Yeah. Which we both don't like.
I hated every single part of that.
I don't like fake out deaths at all.
No. And they do it
I think it's a big cop out.
It is.
And
because that would have given this movie weight. You know what I mean?
And that's what it all comes back to is there's no weight to this movie.
It's almost like they even do this with the fan service stuff that we'll get to later. It's like they don't go far enough. Like they almost just like they put their toes in the water, but they never jump in.
I don't want to say it plays it safe, but I think this film's so worried about like if you put too much fan service, people are just going to be like, well, it's just fan service, and then it's nothing else.
And C-3PO, I thought he was never.
He was gonna die. They fake,
but he never gets his memory back.
Too, yeah.
And then he's like, oh no, my memory's back.
Yeah.
Oh, well, R2-D2, no, he can't do that. Oh, well, yeah, he can.
It doesn't know what it wants to do. I don't think it knows like what it's trying to.
They were playing it safe.
Yeah,
they just
they
didn't
do play
want to
it
piss
safe.
anyone
It
off.
feels very safe.
They should have done. It would have been cool. I honestly think the death they should have stuck with would be Kylo Ren. He's easily the most interesting part of the movie, but it would have given the movie more weight.
But he does kind of.
If he died,
but not really.
He does die in the end.
Fade away.
I honestly think it would have been better if Rey killed Kylo and she was like, "Fuck, am I really becoming what I don't want to be?" Like,
and that's when she faces the
my
Emperor.
powers, just my emotions. The whole point of possibly crossing the line to the Sith, my emotions got the best of me.
And maybe she does kill him in the way that like she killed Chewie, or she uses like a darker power to kill him.
Yeah.
And then she has that realization.
If it was like, oh shit, my powers, am I really who they are saying I am?
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns out that would have been more interesting
of an
to
arc
me. Of maybe an arc, yeah. And then when everybody's got the voices in the end, you hear Kylo's. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
Except
I
will say this. My favorite scene in the movie is probably when Han talks to Ben.
That was good.
That was probably my favorite part.
Scene. Yeah.
Because it was what he should have done in The Force Awakens.
But there's more. This movie could have used more of that. Because that's when ultimately in Kylo's head, once they have that conversation, I think that's when he flips the switch. Like, maybe I'm not that.
Yeah.
And there's no switch that's flipped for any other character really, except for him. There's nothing that when Rey was like, this is maybe this is what I am, or maybe this isn't what I am. Kylo has the most, which obviously like Finn has an arc as well, but Kylo has the most arc of like any of the Jedi. Because
that's what makes him so interesting.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Though?
I could have used more.
The difference between Rey and Kylo Ren. That's what makes Kylo Ren so much more interesting. Because there is that question of, what is he?
Yeah,
he doesn't.
He's lost
really
a little
lost,
on
or
his.
is there still some light in him?
Mm-hmm.
With Rey, the whole time, she literally. I thought they were going to explain this, or there was going to be more reason to it that was more satisfying than maybe just me coming up with. Well, I guess she's related to Palpatine, because Palpatine was never meant to be there.
Yeah.
That she could just do this whole time just because the healing shit I hated. That felt like, because there's never been any indication in any of the movies prior that they could do that.
Not that I recall.
Yeah. If not,
and you've
then Luke would
rewatched
have been.
them all, so I don't know.
Yeah.
So she's just more powerful. I don't know.
The spy for the First Order. I mean, who the fuck else would it have been?
There's no other main character.
There's no other character in the First Order that we know that would have been a spy. And I remember he goes,
"Is there?
I'm the spy," and someone was like, and I was like, "You really didn't see that coming?"
Is there a setup for that, or is he?
I thought that was okay, only because at the end of The Last Jedi, you kind of start to see him kind of get a little resilient to Kylo Ren, because he's like, because he just there's that scene in The Last Jedi where Kylo Ren's waking up in the throne room and he's like, what happened?
And almost, I see that.
I can see it in the sense of like he's not liking what he's becoming, and that's I see it there kind of. It worked for me.
It's okay.
It worked for me. It was okay. Like, it was nothing that kind of like bothered me. But it was like, who the fuck else would it have been?
Yeah, because you wouldn't even say it. Yeah. And there's no other character.
And it felt like it was just going through the motions. There was nothing shocking in this movie. Nothing surprised me really. It's only because it was just like me thinking, okay, this is supposed to be the last one. What would you do? Well, you'd have all cameos and shit. I was like, I figured there'd be cameos in this one. I figured Harrison Ford would be back in here somehow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It caught me off guard when it happened. I'll say that.
It was like a weird,
I figured it would happen, but the scene where it did happen, it caught me off guard.
It was like it was just kind of there. So.
I figured, I was like, when she's about to throw that lightsaber into the fire, I was like, Luke's gonna catch it.
Yeah,
he's gonna catch it.
Yeah.
And well, sure
And
enough,
he
he
came
did.
back,
And
yep.
then, and it's amazing because they're playing that just kick-ass John Williams score, and I just felt nothing.
No, and that's the problem. Is it's the movie sounds very epic and it's supposed to feel very epic, but I never got the sense of any.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anything for the entire movie, really. It was just I could tell that they wanted me to feel like this is so epic. This is so like, even the finale was very just bleh to me.
This
it was
is your
just,
last fucking one. Go all out. See,
you gotta just do it.
You gotta
do it.
Shit.
You gotta do it.
Okay, and going back to what I hated what they do with it, they listened to the K-poppers, they listened to the anime profile pictures, they listened to the hashtag Raylos, they fucking did it, and I was like, no, Jedis can't love, man, they can't do it. That's what I was like, no, that'll never happen. Jedis aren't allowed to love. And you'd be like, well, Anakin and Padme, well, Anakin turned out to be the fucking
Darth fucking Vader.
Darth fucking Vader, okay?
That's what love gets you.
He's not your ideal Jedi, okay?
You turn to Darth Vader.
Exactly. And I was like, no, they won't do it. And they didn't necessarily like do it. They do it. They kiss, which I was like.
I really just wanted them to hug. I really just was like, if you're gonna do it, just have them hug, and that's it.
They don't even have to. They just become friends. But then Kylo Ren dies, and I was like, oh, bummer. And in the very last shot, where you see Leia and Luke, and I don't know why the fuck they didn't do this. Put Kylo Ren there, the same as when Anakin showed up in the end for Return of the Jedi. Like, have him show up, have all the Skywalkers
that even
together.
completes like a little more of an
arc. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't go full with
so
their...
maybe he's not, because he becomes the Jedi Ghost, and that could be even more of his, or even more of his arc. Is that
why not? Is this the last one?
Just do it. Just fucking do it.
Exactly. That's what I mean. That felt just like, just fucking throw him in there.
I don't think they just didn't know what they wanted to do, and
that would have been a nice callback. It would have been a nice callback to the point where like, oh, they copied. It'd been like, no, now I see. It would have been a nice
it's like a full
circle.
It's full circle.
Yeah.
There's not much that comes full circle in this.
No,
not much at all. And that's and you've said this before, and I completely agree with you. Is the great thing about film and movies, and when you make more of them, is when you craft a franchise and something big and epic like this is supposed to be. When things come full circle, call it cheesy, call it whatever you want, but it's very complete.
Yeah.
When you see things come full circle. And you hear and they try it too a couple times in this, where like they reuse. They completed
like minor things, like Chewie finally got his medal.
But
that was cool.
There are things that like you want that finality. When things come full circle in the last film, it gives it more of a complete feeling, and nothing really came full circle for me too much.
It's because, and I don't want to say I respect I guess people go, well, you know what, the prequel trilogy's better. Well, let me tell you this, buddy. The first two movies blow.
They're really bad.
They're bad.
They're really bad.
But I think if you condensed all three of them into one movie, there could be something that works there. But the whole point of that movie is that saga, the prequel trilogy, that had a reason to exist. The whole point of that saga was to tell, this is how Anakin came. This is how Darth Vader came to be. This, they didn't have anything to come back around to.
No.
You know what I mean?
And I think that's not necessarily the fault. I guess I almost put too much blame on this movie, and that because it's not necessarily this movie's fault. It isn't. It isn't.
Yeah.
But because they don't have anything to go back to.
There was no emotional.
It doesn't go full circle because it can't. There's not much like that. There's no arcs that really they set up to be complete.
Exactly. Say what you want about the prequel trilogy, sure. The Order 66, the executions of the Jedi and all them, and Anakin's turning. I feel that. Like, it's very sad.
The end, the last, and we've talked about this too, is that the end of
Revenge of the Sith.
There is some weight. There's some weight there.
There's weight to it.
When Obi-Wan and they're fighting, like and you could say that it's too choreographed and it's too like whatever, but like there's something there.
I felt like I was lifting weights, but there was no.
There was nothing on it.
It was just the bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I felt like, here we go.
Yes,
Here's the Rise of Skywalker. Where's the weight to it? There's none. There nothing.
Isn't. There's not much weight. There's nothing that makes you feel very much.
Yeah.
And in each opportunity that they had to make you feel something, they back out of it.
They back out of.
Yeah.
They can't believe they did that. Even C-3PO. C-3PO was kind of funny in this one.
Yeah, he was.
He's probably one of my least favorites, but I'll give it to him.
Just as a character.
He was funny in this.
He was funny, I guess.
I would have liked somebody. Make it somebody small. They don't even fucking matter. Leia goes. I mean, that I saw coming because.
I mean, obviously, what else can you do?
You know
Yeah,
what
she's
I mean?
got to
Like,
go. She has to go.
Yeah, that was the one they.
Any risk they tried to take felt too safe, and the things that they did try to make like to shock you, it was just like, all right, well,
Kylo Ren's like death, I felt no weight to it, and it was so that was the saddest
That was sad
part
because
to me.
he's a great character. I really do like him,
and I couldn't believe I felt nothing. He redeemed himself.
No, he did, but and then at the end of the last film, he does become like one of the most interesting characters. I would
have liked one last conversation if he came back as a Force ghost or something. Because Rey returns to Tatooine to visit where Luke grew up, his aunt and uncle. I would have liked if Kylo returned as a Force ghost and had just one little conversation with Rey, just one last one. You know what I mean? Make
something come full circle,
or just put him in the end next to Luke and Leia. Just have the Skywalkers
just have
there.
Something full circle.
Yeah.
Have something that creates a little bit of weight.
I think it would have brought more weight to it, but then he just kind of dies and you don't see any more of him.
And I feel like Rey doesn't even feel anything about it. Like she gets back to the thing and they're all happy, they're all dancing. They don't even give the one death that they do, which is Kylo Ren's. They don't even give you an opportunity to feel the weight at all, because in the next scene they're dancing, they're having whatever, and then she's back on Tatooine. There's no weight to and I hate comparing this so much to Endgame because that's not fair. But when Tony dies in Endgame, the very next scene is the funeral.
It's all somber.
It's the funeral.
It's somber.
You get some weight there.
I get it. There's stuff to celebrate, but
you gotta take your time.
It's not sad. You know what I mean?
It's not a bad thing to necessarily just give your audience like some time to breathe. You don't have to just go to the next scene.
Yeah.
Just give them an opportunity, like just bask in what happened.
Yeah.
Let your audience take it in a little bit. Don't just like, oh, we're gonna do something and then here we go. What's next?
It's like in the end of The Last Jedi where it's like Leia sits down to talk to Rey at the very end after everybody's like, oh fuck, we made it, we're alive. She's like, Luke's gone.
It does that well.
Sad.
It does that well.
She's sad. You know what I mean? I felt Luke's death. People can complain, oh, he just gave up, he died, whatever. I felt it. I felt it, and I felt the characters surrounding him feel that pain too.
Because you get the great scene where he's off looking at the moons, and then he fades away, and then after the scene's over, you get more. Yeah. They give you an opportunity to feel it even a little bit more. Rey, and in the midst of all this, this party and everybody's like, great, we made it, we did it, whatever. Yeah. You get the little scene with Rey and Leia where
they show the Ewoks celebrating. There was another one they showed celebrating. I can't remember.
They do the Ewoks.
They did that probably so George Lucas or whoever doesn't go back and add more celebrating scenes when it's all over. Shit. God, it was just I'm honestly struggling to remember a decent amount of it.
Well, and that's what I just said when we were in there. I think it's a little forgettable.
And going back to the end game part, the closest it felt to that was like when everybody shows up. You know what I mean?
When?
In the very end, when they're all the spaceships and shit.
Yeah.
And one I kind of was like, okay, this is like your portal scene.
Yeah.
This is like where everybody shows up in the end. But I didn't really feel it because I was like, well, what could Lando have said that would have changed them to help them rather than they did on The Last Jedi?
Yeah.
On what was the name of the planet? I forget. The salt one where he goes.
Yeah.
Salt.
With the whatever.
Yeah, that planet. Mm-hmm. Why didn't they help then? You know what I mean?
Now all of a sudden they're just gonna help. Yeah.
Yeah. They were equally fucked both times.
Yeah. And are there any characters that show up at the ends that are like callback characters?
The voices. When she's like, be with me. I think I heard Hayden Christensen's voice. Definitely Yoda.
Someone said Mace Windu. Someone told me
I couldn't hear that.
I don't know. Okay.
I'd have to watch it.
I did hear, Yoda for sure.
I was trying to listen for Obi-Wan, but I couldn't.
It's kind of hard to tell.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell.
And I think that was actually a smart way of handling the older characters. Just have their voices.
Yeah, you don't have to necessarily do.
Yeah, you don't have to throw everybody in there like that. Yeah. I heard James Earl Jones.
Okay. I don't really remember.
It was weird having Anakin talk and then James Earl Jones talking because they're the same person.
Thing, yeah. It's funny.
Well, it's his helmet voice. That's the funniest part. Yeah. It's James Earl Jones in the helmet. Like, is he putting on the helmet, taking it off?
He talked and then he put it on and then he talked and he took it off.
Right. I'm with you. Right. You know what I mean? Like, is he putting on the helmet?
For sure.
But it was just all right.
It was all right.
I don't
okay.
like any of the Palpatine stuff.
That felt a little too much for me.
Yeah. They didn't go far enough.
No.
Do you have, has talking about this helped you made a decision?
I just don't. I feel. I mean, I know.
Can
how
you give
I
it
feel.
a rating? You think you can give it a rating? I think I can.
Out of 5?
Out of 5. I think I can. I think I have an idea.
Because I don't know. I don't know. Because it's just, to me, it's just.
It's not the worst one.
No, I don't think so.
It's not the worst.
I mean, no, fuck no, no way.
Of the so-called ending of the saga between Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith, and now The Rise of Skywalker. I think it's the worst finale.
I think it's the worst, yeah.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. The worst, the third movie in the trilogies. I think it's the worst.
Here's my problem, too, going back, and I won't go too long on this. In each of the finales, Revenge of the Sith and Return of the Jedi, I feel weight to what's going on in the third act.
I agree.
I feel the culmination of what's been set up.
The last two movies and what's been set up.
Between Obi-Wan and Anakin and what's going on with Order 66 and all of that.
And you can say whatever you want about that, but it does create a bond. They do have a bond, and there's something there.
Return of the Jedi. I mean, I don't really cry anymore. The first time.
Yeah.
Not the first time, but like the one when I watched it, because I got the complete saga for Christmas one year, and like because I hadn't seen Return of the Jedi in so long, I cried when Luke was fighting his dad because it was so sad because it was like Luke just couldn't take it anymore. He was like lashing out on his dad, even though that was like the last thing he wanted to do because it was like that turning, and the music is so strong. It's so sad. It's like the Battle of Endor #2, I think, is medley #2, I think.
Yeah.
This, I just didn't feel anything going on because it all just felt so unearned. I mean, the only part I felt the most was like when the Resistance was just getting fucked. Like it was just Poe up there pretty much getting destroyed.
By himself, yeah.
Everything other than that, I didn't really...
Well, something that's interesting when you start talking about the other third movies in the trilogies, how do I want to put this? There's a sense of when Obi-Wan's fighting Anakin, like, Obi-Wan is doing something that he does not want to do.
Same as Luke.
When Luke is fighting Vader, he does something that he does not want to do. When Rey's fighting Palpatine, like, I'm pretty fucking sure she wants to kill him.
Yeah.
Like, that's the most, like, there's no decision in her mind that she has to,
Obi-Wan's like, I'll do what I must. You know
she doesn't have to make up her mind. She knows, like, she has to kill him.
Luke constantly tells Vader,
Luke's
I don't want to fight.
And Obi-Wan's like, you're my brother. I don't want to, like, do this. But there's no scene like that in this movie.
He wants to face Vader, but he doesn't want to fight him.
No, yeah.
Obi-Wan doesn't want to fight Anakin.
Yeah.
Rey shows up. And what's her plan?
She wants to fight Palpatine.
What's her plan?
I mean, you have to. I mean, what other thing could go? She's like,
I mean, of course they have to. Of course they have to meet up. Like, I'm not stupid. Of course, there has to be a final clash between the two. But it's just going back to that. It felt unearned.
She doesn't know. Yeah, she knows exactly what like she needs to do. She just kill him. That's like she has to.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the other two final movies in those trilogies, those characters are at odds with themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like Rey's I didn't feel like she was ever at odds with herself. As much as they set up the Palpatine stuff and her like supposed to be a Sith and all this, I never felt like she didn't know what to do.
It's not my least favorite trilogy, but it's my least favorite story of the trilogies.
It's
if that makes sense.
I agree.
Because there was really...
Because the first one is obviously the worst. But like the end, it makes sense.
Oh wait, which one are you talking about?
The prequels.
I think the Attack of the Clones is the worst.
No, I mean when you're saying the worst trilogy, that's
trilogy,
obviously the worst.
Just because the first two movies are
they're so bad. They're so bad.
The story, it's somehow the biggest problem with the
I'm not like it wraps itself up.
It wraps itself up. I'm not going to go into the prequel trilogy.
Yeah,
it's just too much time wasted in those movies. Like they could have sped that process up into like one whole good movie,
which is what this movie does as well.
Yeah.
I think it wastes time. I think because what are they doing for the first 2/3 of the movie?
It does take a long time.
It wastes time on stuff that is not important. I don't think
just
that
like we gotta find the planet.
We gotta go. They spend 2/3 of the movie trying to figure out where the fuck this place is. And then the last third is supposed to be like, all right, well now let's do it. They waste time.
It felt like the longest one.
Yeah, they waste time.
And it's not. It's by a solid 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's short. But it's that first 2/3 just does waste so much time on stuff that like I just didn't care about, that had no weight. It wastes time on stuff that has no weight.
Yeah.
So.
What do you have your rating?
I don't know if I can go fresh. Maybe if I see it again, I'll be more inclined to give it a 3 out of 5. But right now, I would probably just go 2.5.
Okay.
And I would go 2.5 because of what I said inside earlier. If I was bored as shit on a Sunday afternoon and I was scrolling through the channels and I saw this on AMC and I have nothing better to do throughout the day, would I stop and click on this movie? And the answer right now is no.
It's Star Wars. I'm going to give it a 5 stars. I'm just kidding. There was nothing really in there that I loved. There was never a moment. I think the closest it came to was just the Han, and I would say I would go as far as say I love that part.
It's a good scene.
It's a good scene. I love that part.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the only part I loved.
Okay.
I hated more stuff than I loved, and I liked some stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so split on it. I'm gonna go 2.5 for now too. But honestly, I can't see myself going up to the 3. It's between a 2 and a 2.5 to me.
Because a 3 movie for me is where like the good outweighs the bad.
And to me, I think of the movie like this. What did this movie set out to do? Culminate the entire saga.
That's exactly what I said.
It advertises the end of the Skywalker saga. That's all of them. It tries to tie them all in. And it just didn't really work for me.
It doesn't do it. It falls short, I think.
It does. If they just were like, okay, we're just going to end this trilogy, I think I would have liked it more. But the fact that it tried to include everything...
And it never really succeeds at wrapping it all up.
I think that was the biggest bummer of it all. I really didn't feel much of anything.
There's no
emotional
finality
weight.
And there's no emotional weight, in my opinion.
Yeah, what a bummer.
It's watchable.
It's there are movies. Don't get me wrong. There are movies I really like that I gave 2.5 stars.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go as far as say I really like this movie, but they're like. Off the top of my head, I hate to go off track, but A Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse.
I don't know if I've seen it.
I gave the movie 2.5 because I just felt like, this movie isn't really that good, but I like it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's all right. It's a watchable movie.
Yeah.
This is kind of the same thing. Who
would
have thought? Star Wars Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse.
It's pretty watchable. It's just watchable.
It's harmless.
No, yeah, extremely harmless. It doesn't take any risks. It doesn't do anything
that was the most surprising part.
Yeah.
They just didn't risk it, and I think that's just because of The Last Jedi. It's all because of The Last Jedi.
This can all go back to it's Star Wars fans' fault. It's your fault.
Yeah,
that's
it's your
why.
fault.
That's why you fucked up this movie.
You fucked
because everybody cried when it was the same as A New Hope, and everybody cried when they took too many risks. So what the fuck
It's okay
do you do?
for the movie to be okay.
Yeah.
It's just okay.
I mean, it's fine. It's all right.
I don't think that's that bad.
I don't hate
it.
I don't love it. I just think that
it's bad for the finale of it all.
I mean, that sucks. You know.
But I really don't have anything.
I mean,
else
movies
to say.
are okay. It happens. Movies are just okay sometimes, and I think this is just okay. Not every Star Wars movie you're gonna love. Not every Star Wars movie you're gonna hate. It's just it was okay. It was alright.
I don't think I'm missing anything. I think I kind of got it all off my chest. I feel good.
A little bit better.
I feel a lot better, talking about it.
I saw you walking towards us from the bathroom, and that look in your eyes, I was just like, he doesn't.
I'm not gonna lie. I was in the rush. I had to piss so bad throughout about 3/4 of this movie. Yeah, but I didn't want to leave. And I was just my mind was, I kind of drew a blank. I just didn't know what to think. Mm-hmm. And I've never had that happen. I've always kind of just had an idea of what I thought.
You have a general...
Like, Endgame. I was like, I can't give this movie a rating because, first off, that movie devastated me beyond belief.
Yeah.
But I knew I loved it.
Yeah.
I knew I loved it, but I just didn't know if it was, as good as Infinity War. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This, I know for a fact, is not as good as The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi.
I agree.
It's definitely the weakest of the three.
I agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tough.
I mean,
it's all right, man. It's all right. Go see it, I guess. It's all right.
I guess. Yeah, go see it.
If you want to spend a ticket,
I wouldn't tell anybody not to go see it.
No, I don't think I would steer you
to the point
away.
where I'm like, I would never say save your money.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, if you're a Star Wars fan, go see it.
Why the fuck?
Why would you not see it?
Exactly.
Yeah, there's no reason. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's awful because it's not. And I'm going to sit here and tell you it's great because it's not. It's just all right. I mean, form your own opinion. Everybody that was at the theater that we knew when they walked out, they said they liked it. And they actually one of them said they loved it. The other one said it was amazing.
Not gonna lie, I thought he was joking.
No, I did too. I was like, wait a minute.
I thought he was joking.
Max goes, "Are you serious?"
I was like waiting for because we joke around. It's Luke.
Yeah,
it's 3x3. I will probably post this on 3x3.
Yeah, we go ahead.
It was Luke, and I was waiting for the punchline.
Luke goes, I don't know what you guys thought, but I thought it was amazing.
I was
and
like,
Max
waiting for him
goes,
to go.
Really?
I was like, yeah, and I was waiting for him to go. I was just fucking.
I am curious to know like why they loved it though. I would be curious to
Luke,
know.
I want you to upload. If you've watched this much, I want you to
make
upload
your own video.
rebuttal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm sure we'll probably do a video with Luke.
Yeah,
this
we
was
could
just
do one.
This was therapeutic.
This is for Max. this is
for
also
me.
he can get his
We were
thoughts
about
together.
to leave, and and I was like, hey, can we?
He's like, can I do a video? And now we're 40 minutes in,
Yeah,
so
we're
that he can get his
40
fucking
minutes.
thoughts together.
Yeah, honestly, I canceled my second showing because I was just like, I don't think it would have been good to see it back to back, especially when I'm not sure. You know what
gotta
I mean?
breathe a little bit.
Because then, he needs to breathe. I have tickets to go see it at 2 a.m. I'm not sure if I'll go see it at 2 a.m. Because if not, I have tickets to go see it at 8:30 a.m. So I will go see one of those showings. It's not when I'm like, fuck, no, never see it again.
Yeah.
I definitely need to see it again to kind of get. You should always see a movie twice, always, especially when you're not sure on, especially ones you love. Like I saw the
ones
Joker.
that you I was about to say ones you love you should see twice, and ones that you're okay on.
Okay, yeah, this will be the last thing. I swear to God, I saw the
Okay.
Joker. I loved it the first time I saw it. I thought it was fucking breathtaking. When I watched it again, I was like, oh man, this is good, but like, woo. Didn't really do much for me the second time.
Really?
around. Believe it or not.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because I think there was just more excitement the first time around. Like it felt breathtaking the whole time. Like there was moments I was just on the edge of my seat, and the fact that I knew it was going to happen, like it was just like.
It was so fresh the
whole
first
time.
time.
The
and
best
now-
part was just the performance of it all.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
okay, that's it. 2.5 from me.
2.5 as well. For
yeah.
me. Yeah.
Subject to change, I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that I won't. The only thing I would do is move it up to 3, but I can't see myself doing that right now.
Yeah.
I don't see it going
It's
down
like
to
Dark
a 2.
Phoenix.
I don't see itself going down to. Well,
The more I think about
you
it,
know
the more
what's
I kind
funny?
of like it.
I was gonna lean over to you that scene when they were
Oh,
using the
doing the
force
thing,
on.
yeah.
I was about to lean over and be like,
It's like
Dark
Magneto,
Phoenix,
yeah. Magneto and
That's funny.
the Dark Phoenix.
Because that's interesting because people do shit on Dark
Time will
Phoenix
tell.
for being awful,
Yeah.
and they.
You know what? The more I think about it, the more I like that movie. All right,
Yeah.
so maybe it'll be the same thing with this, but we'll see.
It might age well. We'll see.
It
I don't
might.
know.
We don't
I
know.
mean, it honestly, it'll be all up to the Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
So we'll see the outroar on Twitter and what happens.
Yeah.
So
If I had to guess, I feel like the fans will probably love it.
I think so as well.
Based
I think a lot
on
of
what I've
people
heard.
like it.
mean,
I think, yeah, like big name accounts that aren't like critics will like it, and I think that like the general audience will. Probably,
I'm talking about general audiences.
I could see general audience like score on Rotten Tomatoes being like high
Higher.
70s, low 80s. I could see.
Yeah.
And then the Rotten.
I don't
I
think
think the
it-
Rotten Tomatoes score is perfect. Like 59% is like perfect, but I think the audience score will probably be high 70s. I could see high 70s, like 77,
Probably.
78.
I could see.
So-
If I had to predict, I think general audiences will really like it. I think fans will probably be pleased with it for the most part, because it was safe.
Yeah. It's
that's
not. It's never too much. Which yeah.
Well, all right. Well, thanks
That's
for
the end of
watching.
it.
I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
If you watch the whole thing, no.
And we're gonna wait till 43.
Oh, we got
AM.
5 more seconds
What
of dead
name?
time.
What's a word? Say a word.
Uh.
Cucumber.